So we're going to be doing similar things to last lesson where we're finding the values of the trig functions on the unit circle or using the unit circle, except we're going to be going into some other things that come up. So the first one is coterminal angles, and a coterminal angle are just two angles with the same ending or terminal side. So we have a picture over here, and if we started with negative 240, and we're going in this direction, we would say that 120 is coterminal with that angle because they have the same ending side. So the way we find coterminal angles is we can add or subtract 360 because we have to go the whole way around the circle, or if we're working with radians, we'll add or subtract 2 pi. So often, the main reason we would find a coterminal angle is we have an angle that's really big, as in bigger than 360, or small as in negative, and we want to find like a nice positive angle between 0 and 360 that is coterminal, because then all of the trig information will be the same for it, because it's basically the same angle. So if I start out with 700, that's too big, so I would subtract 360. That brings me down to 340. If I was to subtract 360 again, it would go to negative, so I want to stop there. Negative 460, we're going to add 360 instead, and then add 360 again, and I get 260. So just to draw a picture of this, an angle of 700 degrees would go more than once around the circle, and now we know that it ends over here where 340 is. So I don't really know where 700 is until I find that coterminal angle, and then I have an idea where it is. Negative 460 is going to go back around the circle and back around the circle to about here. It's a little bit overshot because I want to be a little closer to 270. And once I find the 260, so 260 is right here, we can see that 260 is coterminal with negative 460. So this one is negative 40. I do have a pretty good feeling of where that is, but that is coterminal with 320. And then when we move down to radians, instead of adding or subtracting 360 degrees, we want to add or subtract 2 pi. So this is going to involve LCDs. So I'm going to add on 2 pi. So this is negative 2 pi over 3, getting an LCD. I have 6 pi over 3, so I get 4 pi over 3. So we know those angles that are just bigger than pi, like 4 pi over 3, greater is 1 bigger, are going to fall a little bit further in the third quadrant. So there's 4 pi over 3, and here's my original angle, negative 2 pi over 3. On my next one, I'm going to add 2 pi again because I have a negative angle. So this is going to be 4 pi over 2 when I get my LCD, so I'm at negative pi over 2. And these, as I said, these small negative angles are usually not too much of a problem to work with, but we are going to make this positive, so I'm going to add 2 pi again. So that's 4 pi over 2, and so I get 3 pi over 2. So this angle is coterminal with 3 pi over 2. Sometimes we just have something big that's a multiple of pi. So I'm going to subtract 2 pi, get 5 pi, subtract 2 pi, and get 3 pi, and then subtract 2 pi again, and get 5. And I really write this in this way, strung together, because I'm making some incorrect mathematical statements. So we'll write it like this. But that's the idea, we're just keep going. Now, if I recognize that I need to subtract multiple 2 pi's, I could just subtract 6 pi, knowing it's 3 2 pi's. But ultimately, 7 pi, 2 pi, 4 pi, 6 pi, 7 pi is coterminal with pi. So how are we going to use this? Really, we're just working to finding the trig functions from these larger angles. So if I see something that's either bigger than 360 or 2 pi, For negative, I first want to find a coterminal angle before I start working on the trig function. So I see 390. I kind of have an idea of where that is, but the first thing I'm going to do is find that smaller coterminal angle. So this is 30 degrees. So that means, because the angles are basically the same, okay, I'm in the same spot. If I drew a triangle, the triangle would be the same triangle for 390 and 30, so the sine value is going to be the same. So sine 390 is exactly equal to sine of 30. They're in the same quadrant. And we know from our chart that the sine of 30 is 1. I am in quadrant 1 with 30, so I make less sense. So my next one, I'm first going to find the coterminal angle. So this is equal to the cosine of 240. Now 240 is not in quadrant 1. 240 is in quadrant 3. And the reference angle for 240, so now I'm going to work with a reference angle. So quadrant 3, cosine is negative. The reference angle for 240, how far away am I from the x-axis, is 60. So this is equal to the negative cosine of 60. Cosine of 60 from my chart is 1/2. So my answer is negative 1/2. Looking at the next one, we have an 840. So we are going to subtract 360 twice. And if you notice you want to subtract 360 twice, you can say, oh, I need to subtract 720, because that's two 360s. That is fine. I've talked about that on the other one. So I'm going to do this. I get 120. So this problem is equal to, just increase this, the tangent of 120 exactly. Just to draw a little picture to hammer this home. 1, 2, here is 120. Or here's 840. So that's coterminal with 120. So it's still going to have the same triangle as 120. Figuring out where we are, we're in quadrant 2, where tangent is negative. So my reference angle is 60. So this is equal to the negative tangent of 60. And the tangent of 60 is the square root of 3. So we have negative square root of 3. So now we're going to see we could also work with radians. So this, we're going to add 2 pi. And I can think in my head, so I need to add 2 pi. If I get a common denominator, the 2 I want to write as 12 over 6. So negative 11 plus 12 is 1. So this is equal to the cosine of pi over 6. Cosine of pi over 6 is equivalent to 30 degrees, so that's radical 3 over 2. We're going to do a couple more in the next page, just practicing with this, because it's the same topic, so we'll do it on the same video. So I have a cosine of 450 and a sine of 3 pi. And as we head into the second part of trigonometry in the next unit, we're going to see that we work with these quadrantal angles a bunch. So coterminal angle is 90, so this equals the cosine of 90. We know that gives us a flat triangle, so we're just going to think about our point under the circle, which is 0, 1. Cosine is x, so the cosine of 90 is 0. Coterminal with 3 pi is 1 pi. Another quadrantal angle. This is negative 1, 0. We know sine is the y value, so the sine of pi is 0.